Hey GenderqueerChat, happy Monday, it's Matt. This week we have another topic that was suggested by one of our viewers, came through on our Facebook page from somebody named Jay. So thanks Jay, it's a really interesting topic and a really good question to consider. Not sure how much I have to say about it, but that's okay, it's really good. So Jay has written to us and has basically said that they've just recently come to terms with their own genderqueer identity and have been having some problems dealing with sort of feelings of shame to do with their self-acceptance and basically related to wanting to dress, act or think outside of stereotypically hetero male norms that society and parents etc. have kind of imposed. So feeling that feeling of shame. And Jay has asked us, has shame affected your coming to terms with your genderqueer identity? If so, how have you dealt with these feelings, and what advice would you give to somebody currently dealing with shame and their own self-acceptance? Yes, that's really cool. I don't know personally if I've ever really felt shame. I've certainly had feelings of embarrassment, unease, things like that concerning my gender identity, and mainly when I've actively kind of opened up, come out to somebody, talk to somebody about it, and that has a lot to do with that I don't feel like I quite have a good, a strong enough or a consistent enough or a well-spoken enough narrative to be able to explain to people on the fly how I feel about my gender, what that means, etc. So I often feel, come away from that feeling, I wouldn't say shame, but embarrassed or a bit uneasy about it or unsure of what that person thinks of me. I think that's a slightly different thing to shame, at least in my definition of shame. I think shame is something that's a bit more of a powerful emotion. It's something that is a really strong thing that you feel, and it's tied in with ideas like embarrassment, but also I guess the way I think of it is it's more, well, as Jay is saying, in regards to people's perceptions of family and society and stuff and not fitting in with that, and if you're feeling that sense of shame, then most likely you're well aware that you're not fitting into those stereotypes or norms or the expectations of others, and that's causing you a degree of pain or unease or whatever, because that's essentially bringing disrepute to yourself or to other people or to your family members or something like that. So that's kind of how I see shame, and I haven't necessarily felt that. I think my own sort of discovery of my gender and exploring that and coming out to people has really been kind of a solo outing, in the sense that, and it is for every trans person, every genderqueer person of course, but I've never really considered, to be honest, like how that my identity or how I would, there's two parts to this. One, I've never really considered how my gender may affect other people, in the sense of not particularly worried about what my family thinks or what, if they're worried about what their friends would think or something like that. If I was to be more open and more vocal and more obvious about my gender, I'm not particularly concerned about what my parents would think or the ramifications on them, and that may be selfish, or maybe it's just the stage I'm at in my life, but I don't really feel like that. The other point of it is that I'm a pretty low-key genderqueer person. Like, I'm not, as I've stated many times, as you can tell, like I don't do a hell of a lot to present, act in a gender non-conforming way. The way that I present, the way that I act, to me is very genderqueer, but in the grand scheme of things, in the broader view of society and people's perceptions, most people are going to be blissfully ignorant that I identify as anything other than male. So in that sense as well, I'm a bit invisible, and it's not really something that causes a great deal of unease. Definitely embarrassment. Like, I wish I had a good narrative, a better way to explain things to people. I wish that I could explain to people how I felt about myself and my internal sense of gender, and in turn the way I wish to be treated and move in this world. I wish I could explain that to people kind of on the fly, or when you're under pressure, or in a more consistent, calculated way, and have it come across in a way that's easy to understand and is clear and concise, and doesn't, if it leaves big question marks, it doesn't leave me with question marks, as in doesn't leave me walking away going, what the hell does that person think about me now? Because while I generally don't concern myself too much with those sort of things, it would be nice. I just want to feel valued and respected as a person, and part of who I am as a person is my genderqueer identity, and I'd really love people to understand and appreciate that, even if they, you know, even if there's really no reason to bring it up other than the fact that, you know, it's how, you know, I want to be understood that way. Yeah, so, but as for shame as a feeling, I haven't really experienced that. I would say that my level of, or degree of embarrassment or, you know, feelings of unease or unsettledness with that sort of thing is very minimal, and it's very much been a personal kind of, you know, most of my turmoil and stuff has come from trying to struggle with my own understanding of myself, and how that will fit in the world, not necessarily trying to fit it into the world, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah, so I don't have a lot to say about shame. As for advice, like obviously I'm not sure if I can give any advice as I don't feel that myself, but I guess the kind of general advice that I give to anyone is like, if you feel a certain way and you are a certain way and you want to be a certain way, then go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, like, it may be embarrassing and may be causing you a degree of uneasiness or unsettledness, or you may be concerned about what other people think, or what your family might think, or what society will think, and how it will look in their eyes. And, you know, nobody wants to hurt their family or bring undue pressure or embarrassment or stress to their family members or anyone else. But at the end of the day, if your family loves you, and I'm sure they do, and, you know, you have to be yourself, and people will appreciate that, and people will in time come to understand that. So, and more to the point, you owe it to yourself to be yourself and to present and to act and to walk through this world, you know, however you feel you should be doing that. And, you know, while it's really difficult to navigate other people's perceptions and societal norms and stuff like that, I think you owe it to yourself to, everyone owe it to yourself to, you know, be the beautiful, wonderful, genderqueer or whatever people that you are. And sometimes these feelings of shame or embarrassment or whatever to do with self-acceptance is unavoidable, but just remember, if you're being true to yourself and you're presenting that to the world, then, you know, you can't. That's what you've got to do. That's living, that's life, and that's you. So, sorry, that was a pretty poor answer, but thanks to Jay for asking the question. And any other questions? Please let us know, and looking forward to hear what everyone else has to say on this topic. And really cool responses to the questions last week as well. It was really interesting. So thanks everyone, viewers and contributors and everyone. And I'll see you next week.